Hello, my name is Orresta Paddock. This is my final sermon for M5900, The Art and Craft of Sacred Speech, Homiletics, here at Cherry Hill Seminary. Arms observe no bounds, nor can the wrath of the sword, once drawn, be easily checked or stayed. War delights in blood. Seneca teaches us this lesson in Hercules' Furens of anger, that, like a sword, once our anger is unsheathed, it is difficult to hold back. War delights in blood. I want to look at this again. War does not delight only in violence or power or domination. War delights in blood. Weapons on their own do no harm. Yet the moment they are put in the hands of those who intend harm, they do. They do harm, they hurt, and they kill. Hercules' Furens is certainly not the only time we see war in Greek myth. There wouldn't be two major divine forces of war if it were. So how do we beautify a mythos of war? How do we take these stories of hatred and fury and vengeance and see the beauty of antiquity? Anger is a powerful and painful tool, perhaps more cruel than any dagger or spear we could wield. It is dangerous. And it is because of this danger that Delphic Maxim 16 tells us themaukrati, or control your anger. Often, when we act with anger, we act without thought. We see only in red, and we say or do things we often later regret. When we as teenagers are angry with our parents, we may yell at them that we do not love them. We may distance ourselves from them, becoming strangers to the very people who taught us to stay away from strangers. Because strangers, like weapons, are dangerous. And oftentimes, regret follows this feeling. When we are adults and our elderly parents begin dying of old age, we often regret every time we told them we didn't love them, or worse, that we straight up hated them. But anger is also justified, as are swords in war. We also become angry when someone threatens our loved ones and places them in danger. I've never seen a mama bear become protective of her cubs, thank goodness, but I can imagine that happy is not the first adjective used to describe her. And also, sometimes anger is justified in those teenage years towards our parents. I can only think of the time my own mother told me I could be gay so long as I didn't want to be a woman. I can remember the time that she admitted to me that my sister was her favorite. I felt betrayed. I felt unsupported and I felt unloved. I felt angry. Angry that she would never love me as much as my sister, no matter how hard I worked. Angry that she would never love me for me when I began to explore the terrible intricacies of gender. Angry at her, at my sister, at myself. And I know there are other young LGBTQIA plus children who have been in far, far worse situations than I was. I wasn't kicked out by my mother or father. I was never physically hurt or harmed by them. I wasn't disowned by any of my family or forced to live on the streets. I never considered suicide, just because I was gay and unsupported. Hell, my parents love my husband and very often ask when we'll give them grandchildren. But still, there remains a part of my anger towards my parents for all of the hurtful things they said to me. So, anger is a balancing act. To wield it is to accept the same danger as a sword. We can feel anger, even express it. That may even be healing to us, to both parties overall. But it also can cut wounds in our relationships deeper than any blade or bullet can. I can name people who are no longer in my life due to misplaced and misused anger. Seneca continues his statement on anger by saying, "Of war, men ask the outcome, not the cause." What comes of our anger, of expressing it? Is it pain? Or is it relief? The sensation of 1,000 weights off of your chest. And do you risk replacing those weights with regret? Do we put faith in our ability to heal? In order to better understand anger and how to control it, we must also observe a few other emotions. The first of which is mercy. You see, to better understand that once drawn from its sheath the power of absolute anger, we must also recognize and understand its polar opposite. How and when to sheathe our anger and offer mercy. When it comes to anger and expressing it, withholding those sentiments can actually do more harm to us as well. Silence breeds resentment. But when we manage to control the manner in which we share these sentiments, we offer mercy from our anger. The feelings we have when we are angry are often more than justified. They just need to be presented as sheathing the sword rather than drawing it. I want to now take a second to talk about another feeling which is very close to anger, but is instead its violent and painful older sibling: hatred. We are told from a young age that hate is a very strong word. Delphic Maxim 119 even tells us apektheon phethie, or flee hatred. Yet, there are also 3 other maxims which tell us to directly hate something: hate violence, hate squandering, and hate badness. So, take that how you will. How I take this is that we can use strong words and feel strong emotions within important context. I consider myself a patient and kind person, open to understanding a variety of different things in life. But damn, I hate heights. My fear extends beyond just wobbling knees when it comes to heights, and I will curse them out until the sun rises the next day. I make light of it here for the sake of this sermon, but gods, I truly hate being in situations where exposed height is involved. Are there people that I hate? This is a great question, and I think I'd have to sit and truly think about it. But I believe there are. For example, assaulters. Those who have only acted in means which have caused me harm and trauma. And I am certain that this is not a unique sentiment. Many of us have been irreversibly hurt by others, and our anger is fully wielded like the sword, sharp and hot and heavy and full of hatred. But in these cases, where drawing our sword of anger is the only option we have, are we doing it out of malice? No, I think not. We are doing it to defend ourselves. The last emotion I want to touch on here is actually more of a sentiment: forgiveness. Now, I don't want to give you the impression that I think we need to forgive everyone for everything they've done or said to us, which have made us mad. While Devil Maxim 60 tells us, "Fithoni midani," or bear no grudge against anyone, I believe that by forgiving, while not necessarily forgetting, this does not bear grudge, but rather acknowledges and holds accountable those who have hurt us or made us angry. Additionally, by offering ourselves forgiveness for being placed in situations which caused anger to be our only option, I feel we can begin to make good headway to healing. Having a sword is not only a tool of danger, but of protection as well. Like I mentioned earlier in this sermon, weapons on their own do no harm, but when in the wrong hands, they can kill, as too many school children know that nowadays. But when they are put in the hands of those who have been hurt, they often become tools to defend themselves. Our anger can be the same. Like I mentioned, I like to think I'm a patient and kind person. But just the other week, my brother made a statement which really frustrated me. And it made it sound as though I didn't care for my extended family while we were discussing the logistics of a family trip which my husband and I, unfortunately, would not be able to attend. I take a lot of pride in being someone who cares very deeply for many people, despite how long ago I spoke to them or how far away they live. So his statement really hurt me, and it made me almost immediately angry. I clarified my feelings and informed him that we wanted to be involved, but due to work, our pets, and flat out money, we simply couldn't. My answer was short, sharp, how others could describe as petty, but it was also angry. He quickly apologized, as did my mother, and now we've moved on. But could I have handled that better? I'm sure I could have. Yet, my emotions and anger were justified, and I did my best in the situation to thema krati and control my anger. The last thing I want to touch on today is that swords are not our only tool of defense. Some people, when they are defending themselves, still use words which cut sharp. Fighting fire with fire is not always a beneficial tactic. Instead, we need to sometimes choose to use water. In this case, use a shield. To heal often requires a preventative tool. There's no need to unsheath our swords if we have a strong enough shield. By doing what we can to protect or prevent ourselves from situations which cause us anger, we can mitigate our chances of becoming angry and hurting others in return. Tools to help control anger, such as meditation and mindfulness techniques, can help us to fight our anger on our own instead of needing someone else's blade, as war delights in blood. So I will leave you with this question. If war delights in blood, what delights in love? Thank you.